It's day 2 of brooding on the farm. Yeah, I didn't actually get to make a separate video for day 1 because the work was crazy. I'm doing my chores, my morning routine for the brooding currently on the farm, and as you can see, I have a syringe, guys. It's a 10 ml syringe, and inside it is some glucose and vitamins which I'm using to give the birds. You know, I'm moving around identifying the birds that are weak, pick them up and give them some glucose. Hopefully it will make a difference and they don't die. For example, I can see one that's really weak lying down. I don't know if it's weak or it's startled. Let's check it out.
Okay. Hi there. Hi there.
Come on. Are you fine? This one is definitely not fine. This one is definitely weak. Yeah, she looks weak. You can see trying to sleep off and doze off. I'll have to give her some of these vitamins and glucose. The interesting thing is, if I touch her crop, right here, this is the crop, I can feel that the crop has food. But the bird looks really weak. And guys, this is a familiar story to what I heard from my previous lot of birds. Let me stop talking and first deal with her. You guys can see that she's really weak. I'll just open her mouth a little and just put a drop or two. Okay, you can see that she's drinking it. You want a little more? Okay, that's good. I'll just put her down in our nursery, and then hopefully she gets better very soon. So yesterday was a really busy day on the farm. Had to go and pick up the birds from the airport. If you don't know what these birds are, these are day-old parent stock for layers, and we are brooding them right in here. We're trying our very best to keep the best biosecurity that we can. That's why you can see that I have this uniform. Right behind me I have a colleague, a friend who is helping me to work inside here, and you can see that he's dressed in his uniform too. He's wearing his boots, you guys can see, yeah? He's wearing his boots, they are blue. And that's helping us to keep the biosecurity. Make sure that we don't get any diseases in here. But we went, picked up the birds, rushed here as quickly as we could, and the birds were hatched on the 25th of May, and we picked them and received them on the farm on the 27th of May. That's 2 days. Yeah, honestly, 2 days of the birds not really feeding and drinking sensibly. And so of course the birds would never survive 2 days of completely no food. So what happens is that usually the companies that hatch the birds put the birds inside trays, and at the bottom they put some glucose, some very good glucose, to try to support the birds throughout the journey. But honestly, it can never be good enough. The idea is that the quicker the birds get onto the farm, the better for you as a farmer. For us over here, we don't have many alternatives. We don't have many options because there's nowhere in Uganda that I'm going to get parent stock. There's nowhere in Africa that I'm going to get the exact breed of the parent stock that I want. Really didn't have an option. We had to go this way. Hopefully the measures that we are putting in place will help us mitigate and reduce the number of deaths. On arrival on the farm, we actually already had around 8 deaths inside the crates themselves. But that's expected, honestly. The journey is long and stressful. Well, yesterday until today, we've had around 46 deaths. From my experience, day 2 is the very worst, like the worst of the worst. Honestly, the birds don't look terrible. They don't look terrible. They are way better than my previous lot of birds. My previous lot of birds was terrible, honestly. Like, the breed was not terrible, but the stress from the journey was just too much. It was obvious that the birds were stressed out. They were very weak. These seem very active. Like, you guys can just see them. I'll just try to startle them a little and you'll see them run away. I'll probably just walk around. Yeah, that was a quick one. You can see how quickly they were running around and everything. They're actually very active birds, and we are feeding them on pellets. Woo. Here we go, guys. We are feeding the birds on pellets. You guys can see the pellets in here. These are the same exact pellets that I used the very last time because they worked out good. I found out that the particle size is actually not very big. It's okay for the birds. So I used pellets, and you can see the birds in here. Of course, the problem is that the birds get to pull in their food, but hopefully they pick out the food. You can't use any other kind of feeders because the birds are very short, they won't be able to reach out into the feeders, any other kind of feeders. So you need pan feeders to make very quick and easy access for the birds to the food. So when the birds arrived on the farm, the place was very ready. It was ready with the heating. We are using charcoal stoves, guys. We had tried using briquettes and, you know, some rather fancy kinds of stoves, but they didn't serve the purpose. Yeah, we bought stoves like this, which would use briquettes, and you know, they have a fancy cover to make sure that the birds don't fly in. But honestly, the heat that they were giving off wasn't good enough. So we decided to just let go of them and went back to our traditional stoves. Ideally, we could have used bulbs, but we didn't plan ahead of time. We thought this would work. So there's always a learning curve in farming, guys. And so when the birds got onto the farm, it was already warm. We had spread the pan feeders out, though there was no food on them. It's very critical that the birds have rehydration first before you start giving them food, because you know, they have had a really long journey. They have been stressed out, they have been dehydrated. So we gave them water that has vitamins inside it and glucose to try to recover their energy, to reduce on the amount of stress. So we are using these tiny round drinkers, very common. Yeah, you guys can see them over there, these small tiny round drinkers, and they are serving us well. You guys can see the drinkers that we've hung up inside the chicken house. Those we cannot use because they are too big. The birds would literally drown inside them if they try to drink. So we use the small ones because they are sufficient enough. And then we have thermometers right here. Yeah, we have thermometers, you guys can see. So the temperature of the room currently is 34.4, which is actually around our target range, probably just a little bit over the target temperature. So we probably need to cool the place. I don't know why the fans haven't set in. Oh, the fans have been set to set in when it's 2 degrees over the upper limit. So the other thing that we did, guys, is that we set a fan system to help us cool the room down if the temperature gets too high. So if it gets to 36 degrees, because currently 36 degrees would be too much, you guys can see this fan, this would automatically go off and try to cool the room down. So today it has actually already been called into action twice, because the room had already overheated. You know, it's not very easy to cool the room down once it overheats. You have to carry the stoves out and things like that. So we decided that, you know, we'll have this kind of system to help us do that. And you guys can see that I'm working with bare feet inside the chicken house. Interesting, right? Well, it's because you don't want to step on the birds, and I've noticed that my feet are way more sensitive, so I can sense if I knocked on a bird, trying to avoid stepping them. So while walking, the other thing that is that you have to make sure that you crawl your feet. Guys, never lift your feet like this. No, your feet need to move on the ground, move on the ground. So you guys can see that as I walk, the birds keep running away. Compared to what I expected, this ain't bad. And right here you can see that I dropped my syringe, forgot it here. Inside it has some vitamins and glucose. It's what I'm using to treat the birds. Yeah. And then on the floor, as you guys can see, we have Gouda pepper. We have Gouda pepper, and this Gouda pepper is very important because you don't want the birds to be on the wood shavings right on day one, because the birds don't know what food is. They don't have an idea what food is. So if you just leave them on the ground in the wood shavings, they're going to eat the wood shavings, and those could cause, you know, obstruction, allergies, anything that's not nice. So you want to cover the wood shavings with this kind of pepper, and this is good pepper because it absorbs the poop, you know, the wet poop of the chicken. So you'll see, like, it seems like it's dirty, but it's just dry stuff on top. Everything that's wet goes inside. So yeah, we have Gouda pepper scattered around the whole house. For at least 3 days we'll have it in here, and then we can remove it at around 5 days or so. So yeah, it's very helpful. Otherwise, I'll have to continue with my chores. If you guys can notice, on this side of the chicken house, there's almost no drinkers. You guys can see there is no drinkers because they have been taken out to be cleaned in order to give the birds food. And on the opposite side, we have the drinkers, because that we have already replaced. And so we are going to just continue working on that. I'm going to continue picking out the weak birds, giving them some glucose. I'll continue getting the birds with fecal infection and cleaning them up, and then we continue the work of keeping the room, you know, warm and nice. And yeah, I'm very hopeful, guys. This is our parent stock. when we grow this parent stock, we shall be able to supply our own farm and then supply all you guys who are around, you know, who want to order for their old layer chickens. These are high quality, nice birds. They're actually the Issa Brown type of bird. So this is parent stock for Issa Brown. Thanks guys for watching. Catch you very soon with another. Bye bye.